Hello there, people from YouTube. How you doing? Hope you're alright. I'm Alex, and today we are here to talk about Loki Season 2, Episode 2. I posted my first breakdown yesterday on the channel, so if you didn't watch it, go watch it and then come back to this one. Before starting, I would like to ask you to leave a like to this video and subscribe, because that will be really helping, and I would really appreciate that. So thank you, and let's go with the video. This second episode was really good. I liked it. I have to say that I liked it a little bit more than the first one, even if in the beginning I was a little bit confused, because we find ourselves already in the plot of the episode. Like it's like we're entering in the middle of a scene and there was supposed to be something before what we get into, but for some reason there's not a scene that links what we see in the beginning to what happened before what we see. So that made me a little bit confused, but we are in the 70s in London and we are at a movie premiere starring our nice X5 agent from the TVA. Apparently he decided to bail on the TVA and go live the life he was supposed to have if he were not kidnapped by the TVA. So yeah, we're basically in the middle of the action, and then we see X5 coming out of this limousine and being interviewed by people from the TV. Right after the interview, the scene switches to X5 meeting Loki and Mobius, and then after that, like a chasing scene starts. So Mobius and Loki are chasing X5 and trying to get him and take him back to the TVA, but he doesn't want to live the life he's living now because he likes it and he's famous and appreciated. The scene goes on and they are still chasing him, and Loki finally uses his powers and traps him into this illusion, making him feel surrounded by people that want to attack him somehow. Like they look like punk in the 70s in London. Like it's pretty cliche, but yeah. Anyway, we also finally see the old Loki doing his tricks, like the illusion tricks. I just loved the scene where Loki traps him against the wall and his shadows appear behind him with the helmet and the horns, and like they keep him there touching him. And I liked the interaction between the two. X5 was telling Loki that it wasn't fair to fight with magic, and I was so happy when I saw Loki go back to what he used to be. After that, we go back to the TVA and we see Loki and Mobius trying to figure out how X5 Tempad works, and since they can't actually figure it out, they go ask for help, and the help is OB. And I have to say that I really enjoy his character. He's super funny. I love the actor. He's so good at what he does, and I still have to watch Everything Everywhere All at Once. I still didn't watch it, but I'm so curious to do it because I've heard a lot of good things about his acting there. So yeah, I'll probably do it, but that's not what we're talking about today. They ask OB for help, but OB asks them if it's like more important than timeline melting, and since it's not, he just tells them to read his guideline book and they will find all the answers in that book. And I really like how he keeps reminding people that he actually wrote that book, that everyone working in TVA should know, but apparently no one does except Casey, that we will find out being a really enthusiast and like the major fan of OB. One of the scenes that I like the most is the scene where Mobius, B-15 and Loki go to this giant orange room number 7. I think there was number 7 on the wall behind Mobius, and they go into this giant orange room and they start to interrogate X5 and asking him about Sylvie, and they just want to know where Sylvie is. Actually, at least Loki just wants to know where she is. And so he starts to ask questions, and I like how before going into the room, Mobius tells Loki not to let him get on his nerves, but when they actually enter the room, Loki is kinda not relaxed but tries to keep it in. Even if X5 tries his best to get on his nerves, like he brings up his mom and all the things he did, all the horrible things he did, so he tries to get a reaction out of him, but he can't. And it's funny to see that Mobius was the one telling Loki not to let him get in on his nerves, but in the end he is the one snapping and punching him. And then he storms out of the room and Loki follows him, and they find themselves in this green giant room where they have a nice chat and eat a key lime pie. I like the moment where Loki brought up the thing he did back in the first Avengers movie, where he got the entire city of New York hostage by the aliens, and he actually says that it wasn't because he had this big plan out, but it was because he was feeling bitter towards his father and his brother. Soon after that, we see OB going back to the room where the time frame is, or the time loop. I don't exactly know how you call it in English. Yeah, we see him trying to work with the computers there, tries to put on the password in his temporal area, but he can't because someone already did, like the original someone, like the original someone that computer belongs to. And I had a thought, and what if the thing that has the correct aura is Miss Minute? And what if Miss Minute is actually a Kang variant? Like, what do you think? Is it possible that Miss Minute is a Kang variant? Let me know in the comments. We go back to the interrogation room, and this time we see Mobius and Loki wheeling inside some kind of device, and in order for it to function they need this remote, but apparently they don't have it. So Mobius exits the room, and in that moment Loki locks it, locking Mobius out of the room. And we can see Mobius trying to get in, but he can't because the door is locked. And we see how he's trying to tell Loki not to do what he's about to do. And in that moment, we see Loki pulling out the remote from his pocket and link it to the device. And in that moment is when X5 really gets scared of what is happening, because he knows what that device does. We see Loki trying to figure out how the remote works, and he creates this time cube around the stool, and we just see what happens when the time cube is removed. And it's awful because like the stool is all crashed. So you can imagine what can happen to someone, like a real person, inside the time cube. Loki apparently learns how to use the remote pretty fast and uses it on X5, and we see him surrounded by this giant orange cube. And every time Loki asks him a question and he doesn't answer, he touches something on the remote, and the cube starts to close in on X5, and that's when he cracks and just spills everything he knows. And the scene after, we're back in 1982 in front of the McDonald's, where we know from the episode before that Sylvie was, and now they know it too, because like finally X5 told them. And we see Loki going in and finding Sylvie working there behind the register, and asks her to talk to him. So the two go out of the McDonald's and listens to what he says. And he basically tells her that he went to the future and saw her in his future, but she doesn't want to listen to him. And he also tells her that he will let her watch inside him in his memory, and that's something that he didn't want to, didn't want her to do in the first season. So yeah, she just doesn't want to. And at the same time, we see Sylvie and Loki interact, and then the scene switches to Mobius and X5 talking, and we see X5 being pretty nervous because of something, and then Mobius starts to ask him questions, and because he needs to know what's happening and what is happening to him and why he's feeling so nervous. After a few seconds, we see them running out of McDonald's and telling Sylvie and Loki that General Dux is actually working on her plan to destroy every branch in the timeline that's being created. Sylvie uses the time pad that she has on her wrist and brings them back to the TVA, where they can see what's happening to the timeline on the monitor in the control center. Not long after that, they disappear through a portal. We see them reaching the remote command center of General Dax, where they are working on destroying the timelines and the branches. Also see through Sylvie's eyes that she recognizes the bombs that they are using to destroy the timelines, and they start to fight with the army guys, and Loki and Sylvie join their powers to destroy everything, and they go back to the TVA, but unfortunately find out the plan is already working. They destroyed a lot of timelines, or a lot of branches already, and a lot of people have died. There's a really intense interaction between Loki and Sylvie at this point, where Sylvie ends up telling Loki that the real problem is the TVA because it's rotten. And that's when she leaves and goes back to 1982, and we see her talking to this guy that she works with, and I enjoyed their interactions because it was really sweet. When the guy leaves, we notice a device on Sylvie's hand, and in that moment the episode ends. I feel like Sylvie has a lot more on her mind than what we saw in this episode. Anyway, that was all for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you think about this episode. If you liked it, did you like episode 1 more, or did you like episode 2 more? Do you have more theories? Did you see things that I didn't notice? Let me know in the comments, and thank you for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, it would really help me. Again, thank you, and we'll see each other in another video. Bye!